Hello everyone. Hi, Namaskar, Adab, Vanakkam, Sat Sri Akal. You're watching Crime Tech English. I welcome all of you to Crime Tech family and I hope everyone part of this family is doing well and fine. My friends, today I'm going to talk about a kidnapping case. And this is a very interesting kidnapping case which took place in 1991. And the person who was kidnapped was a big businesswoman having 5 industrial unit of Coca-Cola in 1991. So the incident took place on 28 May 1991 in Brazil. Now, before that, I will give you a background of how this kidnapping took place. So, basically, the kidnapper in this case, the kidnapper was tracking Corinne Coffin from last 100 days. He was monitoring her movement when she was leaving from her residence, when she was reaching her industrial units, what route she was taking, and also the movements of the family members. So everything was being monitored by the kidnapper. Now on May 28, 1991, when she left her apartment, then the kidnapper along with 3 of his associates, they followed her vehicle, and while she was crossing a bridge, her car was crossing a bridge, kidnapper's car overtook Coffin's car, and later on the driver was forced to stop. The moment Corinne's car stopped, 4 people from the car came out, including the kidnapper, and they started going towards Corinne's car. But the driver of Corinne, Da Silva, he decided to take a U-turn and run away from this spot because he thought that something bad is going to happen. But the kidnappers were having guns. They started firing on the car, and one bullet hit the driver of Corinne Coffin, and immediately, because he was bleeding, he felt unconscious, and the kidnappers approached Corinne's car and she was forcefully taken out of the car, and later on the kidnappers took her to the safe house. So this took place on May 28, 1991. There were almost 20 people who were witness of this incident. It was daylight when this incident took place. Morning time in a busy Brazil road, but none of the witness even thought of calling police and informing that what has happened. The local police unit came after they got to know that one person has been shot. The driver was shifted to a hospital, but he was unconscious and he was not able to give any details that what exactly happened there. At that point of time, there was no CCTV camera installed on the bridge or any other visual element which the police can rely on. Nothing happened. Now, Corinne was in the safe custody, of kidnappers, and the intentions of kidnappers were to ask for ransom. On the other side, Corinne's husband, her son, they were very worried that because it was late evening by now and she had not returned from the industrial unit. So Corinne's husband called on the unit. He inquired whether Corinne has left from the office or not, and he was told that she never came to office. He realized something fishy is going on. He started worrying. Later on, now the kidnappers thought that they have to call Corinne's family because they have to make the ransom demand. They have to demand for money. And a call was made the late evening, around 11 o'clock in the night. A call was made. Husband of Corinne took the call, and the moment the call was made, the kidnapper introduced himself as Lucio. So he told that your wife, Corinne, is in my custody. She is safe as of now, but you have to pay $20 million as ransom. If you want your wife safe, then you have to pay $20 million. And even if you approach the police, then you are going to kill your wife. Corinne's husband was very worried. He called 3-4 friends. The friends arrived, but no one was having a clear idea that what they should do, because that amount of money they were not having. Now the kidnappers thought that Coca-Cola company belongs to Corinne Coffin. But they were wrong. There were 5 units. And Corinne Coffin was director of those 5 Coca-Cola units in Brazil. So the entire incident was taking place in Rio, a city in Brazil. And the friends of Corinne's husband, they advised that they should approach police, but again there was a dilemma that whether they should inform the police or not, because the kidnapper had clearly instructed that if you involve police, then she will be killed. Now again, for 2 days there was no call, and the kidnappers thought that they are going to arrange money, but there was no clear instruction from the husband of Corinne, because in the last call he had said that they do not have this amount of money. So again a call was made after 2 days, and in the second call the kidnappers said that you have to arrange the money, else we are going to kill your wife. And again they demanded 20 million. When husband of Corinne said that they don't have that much amount of money, then immediately he came down and said, okay, give us $15 million. Again they said, we don't have that much amount of money. So finally they thought that they should involve police. And later on the advice of friends of Corinne's husband, police was involved. When police reached residence of Corinne, they started tracking the phone calls. Now in 1991, the technique which the Brazil police had was that if you get a call on landline, then the police will make a call to the phone company, and the phone company will tell that where the call came from. Now about this kidnapper, and from here the story becomes very interesting. The kidnapper Lucio, who introduced himself as Lucio, he was earlier working with the army. He was in the special parachute unit of Brazil army, and he served there in the special unit for almost 10 years. So he was aware of every technique which the police is going to use. So whenever he was making the call, he was making call from a payphone. Again, if they were getting call from a booth phone, from a payphone, it was very difficult for anyone to track where Corinne was or where she was kept in the custody. So again, police failed. They were never able to track Lucio or Corinne. Now, Corinne on the other side, she was inside a room, very dark room. She was being given food and all, but again, there was not much interaction between Corinne and Lucio or the other kidnappers. But every time when Lucio used to come in the room, he should ask Corinne to blindfold her. There was a goggle, it was completely black, and once you wore that goggle, you can't see anything. So she was instructed to wear those goggles, and because she was also afraid, she was wearing those goggles whenever he was coming. So she was not aware that her abductor looks like what. So this continued for a few days, and from 3-4 days, Corinne started feeling little weak. She also started getting some dreams, some strokes, and her health condition started deteriorating. Now here the kidnapper was aware that he has to get money. There was no intention of killing Corinne, but he knew that at one point of time the family will give up because they want their wife, their family member in their custody. They don't want her to die, and he was aware because kidnapping is a game. The person who has more information, whether it is the police or it is any other person, the person who has more information, that person is basically in charge of everything, in charge of the details in the case, in charge of how they are going to play their next move. And here all the cards were being held by the kidnappers. So anyway, almost 7 days went, and after 7 days, trouble started for family members of Corinne. How? This information that she has been kidnapped, this information was leaked in the media. And on 7th day, around I think June 4, it was reported by the Brazilian newspapers and the websites that director of 5 Coca-Cola industrial unit has been kidnapped. This information was leaked, and this was not liked by the kidnappers, and even the family members got worried. Later on, they started waiting for the calls, because end of the day the family said that they are having money, but not the amount of money which the kidnappers are asking. So almost after 11-12 days, when the condition of Corinne started deteriorating, the kidnapper thought that it is best for them to negotiate, come down a little bit, and she should be given into custody of family after taking the ransom money. So finally they made a call, and when they made a call, then this time the kidnapper spoke for long. He started talking about her health condition, he started talking as a nice man, and he said that he can be trusted, the money should be given, and he end of the day asked that how much money you have, how much money you are willing to pay for your wife. And husband of Corinne said that I have around $2.5 million. This is the money which I have, and I can give it to you. Now again, this call was again being recorded by the police, and this call was being tracked by the phone company also. And there was a police unit which was available from the place, from the payphone where the kidnapper was calling, so-called Lucio was calling. The police made the contact with the local unit, but unfortunately, the local unit was in a dead network zone, and no one was able to hear clearly, or a right communication, you can say, was not given to the local unit. And finally the kidnapper called, asked for them to give 2.5 million and $2.5 million, and later on he went in front of police, and no one was aware that this is a person who was kidnapped. So on 13th day, he called up. He told the family members location, and a time was given. So 2 people who were working with Corinne Coffin, two people who were working with her, they decided to go with the ransom money and get Corinne. So the place was already decided. The police was not told about this. And finally this money was handed over. But here is a twist. When the money was handed over, then the 2 people who came with the money, they were also kidnapped. So now this kidnapper had 3 people in their custody. And when they came back, then it is very interesting. When they came back, then both the people were taken in front of Corinne. And when Corinne saw them, she started crying. She said, because of me, you are in this situation. I don't know what to do. And later on, Corinne was again taken away by the kidnappers, and she was taken into a car. Then she was released in an open street. So now kidnapper was having 2 people in their custody. Corinne was released after taking $2.5 million from them. And later on, Corinne reached her residence in a taxi. The family members were very happy, but again worried because 2 people were again in the custody. So again the negotiation started, and after 28 days, when $5 million was paid to the kidnappers, then other 2 people were also released. So total $7.5 million in exchange of 3 people. So this person, Lucio, who kidnapped Corinne and two other friends of her. He distributed the money among three other people who were associates, and later on, the police was given detail about this entire ransom. When the police got the details, then what they did, they started tracking the money. And when they started tracking the money, then they got to know that one person from the gang of four, one person has spent some amount of money. That person was taken into custody by the police almost after 2 months. He was taken into custody, and after he was taken into custody, it was only a matter of time when Lucio would have been arrested. After a week or two, police got to know about his location, and later on he was arrested. Now the case went to trial. All four people were taken into custody, and Lucio was also arrested. He was also under trial. But the interesting part was that the person who introduced himself as Lucio, the kidnapper, his actual name was Ronaldo. He was Ronaldo, a person who had served in the army for almost 10 years. And finally they were identified by Corinne based on scar marks, because she had not seen Ronaldo ever when she was she was in custody of Ronaldo. She had never seen, but once she was going to washroom, and because she was very weak, Lucio, or you can say Ronaldo, he was helping her to go to the bathroom, and at that point of time her goggles, the black goggles, slipped, and then what she was able to see was that there were 2 scars on his hand, and based on those scar marks he was identified. He was sentenced to 28 years of jail by the Brazil police, by the Brazil court. And when this entire matter ended, then finally Corinne and everyone got relieved that now they are safe. But Ronaldo was released after 13 years, and when he was released, then he started an NGO, because when he was in jail, then he started seeing life as real. He saw that there are many people who have not done anything but still they are in jail. So he started working after coming out of jail, and he spent only 13 years because of his good behavior inside the jail. So as of now, this kidnapper Ronaldo works as a social serviceman. He has an NGO, and what he does is those people who have been either convicted or those people who have been involved in a crime, he is making their life in a way that they go on a good path. He is changing lives of people, and he is doing some great work. I have no sympathy for him as a kidnapper, but the work he is doing, it is worth appreciating. And I thought that this is a very interesting story about a kidnapping, an old story from another country, Brazil, but this kidnapping was very interesting. Thank you so much for watching this, and if you want me to tell you any story, do let me know. I will research about that story. I'll speak to the experts, and then I'll get back to you with the maximum possible details. Thank you so much for watching this.